Here we are, Sunday, July 10th, 2022. I'm Larissa, and I'm going to be reading here, but first, there's been a lot of interest in my shirts. People really seem to like my shirts. I'm going to talk about my shirts here. So this tank top that I'm wearing, I have a bunch of them. I have them in black and I have them in white, and they're just a simple tank top that has a little shelf bra inside, and it's 100% organic cotton from a company called Pact, P-A-C-T. And they make underwears, and they make socks, and they make clothing, and they use organic cotton and hemp. And so that's where I get my Gucci's and Omar's Gucci's, most of them, and t-shirts and tank tops and, cotton necessities like that. And then when they get all worn out, when they're all done, seeing as how there seems to be a market for my used underwear, I don't throw my underwear out. And I also, all of our textiles I try to recycle. But in particular, the cotton, stretchy, t-shirty things, once they're, real dingy, I can't get them clean anymore. They have some holes or stains or whatever on them. I recycle them. I make a cotton rag yarn, and then I use that cotton rag yarn to make throw rugs. So that's what happens to our socks and our underwears and t-shirts and tank tops. And I just got a few new tank tops from Pact, P-A-C-T, Pact. And I'm not paid. I don't have any sponsorships. If I'm telling you about something that I use, it's because I actually use it, not because somebody sent me something free, not because somebody paid me, because nobody pays me for shit, right? Yeah, but I like Pact's products. I do. I like their products a whole lot. They make some real nice drawstring shorts and things. Just necessities. What's that? Yeah, he's up here with me. I think you should call him and get him to come inside, though, because if whoever was poking around here the other day comes poking around again. Brody, go with Daddy. He doesn't want to. He wants to stay here because he knows that I don't. He's a stinker. He's a stinker, that Brody. The Brodingus cripplingus. So, here we are. In my kitchen on my table, Lenten Tales of Culinary Traditions by Larissa Dahroug. Chapter 8. Banana bread, trifle, lemon meringue, and butterscotch pie. At long last, what is any holiday without dessert? It's the sweetness of the season. In the final pages of these Lenten tales, I will share my banana bread, my mother-in-law's trifle, and my great-grandmother Daisy Leeds' legendary lemon meringue and butterscotch pies. I started baking banana bread when Omar and I were first married, and I was packing our lunches daily. Bananas are generally an inexpensive fruit, and as such were always on my shopping list. Each week, I would bake a cake or sweet bread to pack as a dessert. If I had overripe bananas, I would opt to make banana bread. My recipe is my own, but was informed by a recipe and a collection of recipes compiled by the women of the church my Aunt Rosemary Leeds Lawrence was attending at the time. Rosemary. Riri. Are you dead? Are you dead, Riri? Who the hell knows? He is still outside, I know. She gave me a copy of the book as part of my bridal shower gift. Such collections are wonderful historical documents reflecting the ethnic and cultural heritage and evolution of a given place and time. I thoroughly enjoy reading cookbooks, not just for the new ideas in the kitchen, but to learn about other people, cultures, and places. I included my recipe in the cookbook I compiled in 2002 when Omar and I were first married. I shared this compilation immediately with my mother, Karen Morrow Funyak, Aunt Roseanne Funyak Novak, Aunt Peggy Pugsley Morrow, and once they married, my sisters Rachel Funyak Nolan and Mary Funyak. She got divorced. I don't know if she kept her ex-husband's name or not. In 2015, Omar and I took a short weekend getaway. While we were gone, the copy of my cookbook was stolen. A few months later, it reappeared on my kitchen counter after I returned from a regular excursion of morning yoga and dance practice, morning mass, walk at the lake, and lunch at Lake Chalet Seafood Bar and Grill on Lake Merritt in downtown Oakland. The home where we were renting from Lipnowski Real Estate had been broken into a number of times, and neither the landlord or police had been any help, even when we had video surveillance of perpetrators. This particular day, I was quite upset when I returned home from my routine because on the menu at Lake Chalet, they had both lemon meringue and butterscotch pies. Lemon meringue isn't so unusual. It's not common, but it's also not unheard of. Butterscotch pie, on the other hand, is quite unusual and specific to the region and culture my great-grandmother Daisy Hayes leads. When I got home and found the cookbook had been returned, I was irate. Then I found the pages with the recipe for the lemon meringue were missing. I believe the woman who had been pet sitting for us. She had a key, as did the landlord, and organized crime circles affiliated with the community of the Diocese of Oakland were involved in the thefts and other crimes and abuses I experienced while living in the city of Oakland. I will never forgive the greater Oakland community for the way my life, career, and generous heart were abused and treated. I can't. And while it may go against the teachings of Jesus, I sincerely hope those who perpetrated these harms against me and my loved ones for no other reason than petty jealousy and bigotry rot in hell. No one ever needed to steal from me. I was always open to sharing so long as I was given appropriate credit and/or compensation. I didn't require fanfare, but an acknowledgement of my work and effort wasn't an unreasonable or inappropriate request or desire. Instead, I was slandered and nearly killed on numerous occasions. Make no mistake, the only sweetness in the sentiments of this chapter are the recipes themselves, and I wish for those ignorant asses of men and women who have harmed me and my family nothing short of just dessert. So, this is how you make my banana bread. Ingredients: half a cup of vegetable oil, 1 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, 3 ripe mashed bananas, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon baking powder, half a teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons milk, 1 tablespoon rum, half a teaspoon real vanilla, 1 pat unsalted butter. Directions: preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In a large bowl, beat together the oil, sugar, eggs, and bananas. Sift all the dry ingredients together in a separate bowl and slowly add the wet mixture while beating with an electric mixer. Mix in the milk, rum, and vanilla. Use the butter to grease a 9 by 5 by 3 baking dish, a bread pan, and pour the batter into the dish. Bake at 350 degrees for 50 minutes. Turn the oven down to 300 and bake for 20 more minutes or until the knife center test is clean. The second baking time will vary depending on the texture of the bananas you started with. Cool overnight. This next recipe comes from Omar's mother, Sheila. I believe it is how her mother, Grace Wade, made it because she called it Mom's Raspberry Trifle when she wrote it down for me to include in the original collection. I've only made it a couple times. Trifle is good, but it's not my favorite dessert. I've never been a huge dessert person, really. Even on holidays, I frequently skip dessert because I don't like stuffing myself if I'm already full. Every now and then, if I'm feeling the need to have dessert, I'll make one and have just that. Desserts are nice and all, but I've never been a sugar puss. Anyway, the following is the text Sheila shared with me. I have a photo of it. Line a glass bowl with ladyfingers or sponge cake. Add frozen, thawed, or fresh raspberries. Make up a pack of raspberry or strawberry jello, if using strawberry, and pour over sponge and fruit. Before adding jello and fruit, sponge may be sprinkled with sherry to taste. If you add lots, it becomes Mom's tipsy trifle. While jello is setting in the refrigerator, make a pint of custard, either from a packet or scratch. When this is cool, add to set jello and fruit sponge. Then, finally whip small carton of whipping cream. Spread over custard and garnish with almonds and raspberries, whatever you prefer. Enjoy. Custard. Finally, let's talk about the pies. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here. For the pastry, use the pages from 38 to 39. The pastry I make for my quiche is the same one used for the pies. The difference is the pastry needs to be baked before adding the custard fillings, topped with meringue and finished. Bake the crust at 425 degrees for 8 to 10 minutes or until it's lightly golden. Making custard is tricky. It's a slow process of whipping together sugar, eggs, and milk and cooking slowly. When making the lemon custard, it is even more tricky because you are adding a citrus to the eggs and sugar. If you don't do it just right, you'll have a gross, unusable mess on your hands. Anyway, let's start with the butterscotch filling. So this is how you make it. Ingredients: 2 cups packed brown sugar, 10 tablespoons flour, 2 cups canned evaporated milk, not sweetened condensed milk, 2 cups cool water, 5 egg yolks, reserve the whites in a glass or metal bowl in the refrigerator, 3 teaspoons real vanilla, not imitation vanilla, 3 tablespoons salted butter, 1 deep 10-inch baked pie crust, or 2 shallow 8 to 9-inch shells. Direction: have your pie crust baked and set aside to stay warm, but not continue to bake. Beat the egg yolks with 1 teaspoon lukewarm water in a small bowl and set aside. Mix the brown sugar and flour only in a large saucepan, making sure to break up any lumps. Add the water and evaporated milk to the sugar and the water in the pan. 1 can is not quite 2 cups. You will need the second can to make up the difference, or use a little whole milk. Cook the mixture over medium-high until thick, stirring constantly. It scorches easily if left unattended. Add the thickened mixture by spoonfuls gradually to the beaten yolks and stir until the egg mixture is warm. Add this new egg mixture to the remaining pudding in the saucepan. This is to keep the egg from curdling. Cook this new mixture for 2 minutes longer, still stirring constantly. Remove the pudding from the heat and add the vanilla and butter. Stir until the butter melts and the vanilla disappears. Add the pudding to the pie shell and add the meringue on top immediately. Make sure the meringue touches the pie shell all the way around or it will shrink. Bake the pie at 350 degrees until the meringue is browned on the peaks. Now, before we talk about the meringue, let's talk about the lemon filling. The way you make the meringues, this is the same whichever pie you make. Like I said before, my written copy of this recipe was stolen in Oakland, so this is from my memory of making the pie and experience making key lime pie. So, this is how you do it. Some sugar, about a cup or so, 5 egg yolks, whites reserved in a glass or metal bowl in the refrigerator, juice of 5 or 6 fresh lemons, zest of 1 fresh lemon, a pinch of salt, 4 or 5 tablespoons of butter. Over medium-high heat, in the top of a double boiler, whisk together the yolks and sugar until they begin to thicken. Then add the lemon juice, zest, and salt and continue to whisk vigorously and thickens a bit more. Add the butter 1 tablespoon at a time until they disappear, continuing to whisk vigorously, otherwise it will curdle. Once the mixture is a creamy pudding texture, pour it into your pre-baked pie crust and add the meringue on top immediately. Make sure the meringue touches the pie shell all the way around or it will shrink. Bake the pie at 350 degrees until the meringue is browned on the peaks. Finally, it's time to make the meringue. I'm giving you the recipe, right? There are a couple things there are a couple things to know about the meringue. You must use cold whites in a cold bowl, and you need the cream of tartar. Otherwise, it won't have the right texture. It will be kind of a gross texture. Also, if you want, you can use this recipe to make meringue cookies by placing smaller dollops of meringue on waxed paper on a cookie sheet. These can be sprinkled lightly with chocolate shavings or shaved almonds and baked in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven until the meringue is just slightly browned, about 3 to 5 minutes. So, this is how you make the meringue. 5 chilled egg whites set aside earlier, 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar, 1/2 cup of sugar, 3/4 teaspoon vanilla, a chilled metal or glass bowl. Directions: beat the egg whites and the cream of tartar with an electric whisk or mixer on the highest setting until the whites are thick and creamy. Add the sugar and continue beating until glossy. Add the vanilla and continue beating until it forms soft peaks. Spread it on your pie or make dollops if making cookies, like explained previously. Anyway, there you have it. Take it or leave it. It's all out on the table now. Amen. Afterword and Acknowledgements. This text has been the most difficult thing I've ever written in my life. The slightly more than 4 decades I have been in this body, on this planet, have not been easy. I know, I'm a grown-up. No one has it easy, and everyone is going through something. That being said, I feel I've had more than my share of the short end of the stick, and it has really taken a toll. I'm not nearly as nice as I used to be. When I was younger, I had dreams of having a working artisan farm with my very multi-talented family, including all generations. When that became obviously out of reach for reasons of cost and egos, I forged on my own path, seeking a career in the arts, using my time, talents, and treasure to try to enrich my community. I always defined community as the people and place surrounding me. My entire life, whether as a child or as a married woman, I have moved around a lot. I don't have any one place I feel I can singularly call home, and nowhere I have ever lived has ever accepted or wanted me. It was always about what others could take from me. No matter what I have worked on or towards, I have invited my family and friends to join in, seeking to create a community. The only thing I've ever had thrown at me is have a baby. I've even been told this by employers when they fired me from positions I have loved. Just go have a baby, as if I'm some barnyard animal. I've had a number of miscarriages and even a non-consensual abortion. I hope Marvin Silver is no longer practicing obstetrics. I've been told by my husband that I wasn't fit to be a mother to children. I've always simply accepted these things in stride because in my heart of hearts, I never really wanted children. I distinctly remembering that when I was 7 or 8 years old, my mother laughed at me and told me I'd changed my mind. I never have, though upon marrying, I did willingly and consciously take a vow that I would accept children if I became pregnant. Over the years, I've taught school, done volunteer work, and acted as a mentor to youth of varying ages and situations. Never once have I had the pang of desire to be a mother. My pain over children has come from others judging and chastising me for not having them. I've never fit in, and even having been told from time to time that the world needs more people like me, my gut reaction is, I wouldn't wish my existence on another being. My life has truly been that painful. Another person like me would certainly only be subject to the same insults, humiliations, and hurts I have experienced. This is not to say I have had no good or beautiful experience or memories of joy and or contentment. It's just that the bad has been bigger and more impressive. I've been told at times by professionals that I exhibit symptoms of PTSD or CPTSD. Over the years, I have found comfort in writing about it, though it brought me nothing but ire from my family and friends. I gave up on talking to a therapist. The last time I met with a therapist, my records were stolen, and the contents were used to abuse me both publicly and privately. Twice when I've seen therapists, my records were stolen out of their offices. Twice. The things that have happened have driven a wedge between me and my loved ones, and honestly, I'm not sure my loved ones don't know anything about it. At this point, I'm unwilling to pretend that nothing happened. I'm far too old for the land of make-believe that comforts so many. But no one has time or desire to hear the truth. It is much more comfortable to blame and ostracize the person telling the truth. I can't really blame anyone, I guess. Everyone needs to make their own choices. That is God-given right of conscience. I recognize my loved ones have also been taken advantage of and abused by a culture of humanity that doesn't make room for the different or challenging. So, to my family, my apologies. I'm sorry my existence has made your lives so difficult. I'm sorry I'm not pure or good enough to be part of your lives or be held by your support. I didn't ask to be born, and though I do believe in reincarnation, I hope to never be born again. It's just too painful. To the Vatican and Greater Church, I offer nothing. I cannot condone the exploitation and manipulation of children and women so that men can remain powerful. Father Jim from Oakland, the way you and the priest desecrated my observation of the Sacrament of Reconciliation is an abomination. The time I spent with the UUs is not an excuse. I was seeking community to accept my husband and I. Sadly, UUism wasn't the place for me either. I am, in fact, a Trinitarian, not a Unitarian. Additionally, I do not believe abortion is murder, nor do I believe it is a sin to be born other than heterosexual. I do not believe it is a sin to find pleasure in your body, make art or music, to dance or be friends with someone who is different from your family of origin. I don't believe it is necessary to have children to love and support children, and I don't believe in procreation or parenthood as an obligation. Just because you make a child doesn't make you a parent or a good person. People have always had children. It's not anything unusual or otherwise special, and children are too precious to treat so cavalierly. But these beliefs have not won me friends, a successful career, or a good relationship with my family of origin. It doesn't look good. It stands out. It has made me other. The Vatican practices active persecutions against persons like myself. They aim to either destroy a person or maybe find a saint, and I find that reprehensible. It misses the point that we are all here but for a short time, and there will always be poverty and suffering. I hate cruelty, and humanity is cruel by nature. But for some reason, no matter how hard I try, I can't bring myself to truly hate humanity. I have tried really hard to do so, and I wish I could. It would make my life much easier. I yearn for justice, but have no expectation of ever seeing it served. I am only one person, and everyone else are so many more. While writing this text has been difficult, it has also been cathartic and a deeply loving act. I hope those who are mentioned in these pages can come to understand and respect that, even if they don't like it. At the end of the day, I like and love myself, and I guess that's all that really matters. Ultimately, I have written this text for my nieces and nephews and their future families so that our history may be preserved and shared. Our history and heritage may be preserved and shared. At this time, I would like to acknowledge Omar Dahroug, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph M. Funyak, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Morrow. Oh, I have where they're of. Excuse me. At this time, I would like to acknowledge Omar Dahroug of Santa Cruz, California, Dr. and Mrs. Joseph M. Funyak of Rochester Hills, Michigan, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Morrow of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph J. Funyak of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Funyak of Nannyglo, Pennsylvania, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Louis Deskovich of Nannyglo, Pennsylvania, via Austria-Hungary, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Anthony Morrow of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, via Italy, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. George Leeds of Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Mohammed Dahroug of Toronto, Canada, via Egypt and England, Mohammed Dahroug, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. George Wade of England, deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Theodore Ivanko of Verona, PA, Wanda Ivanko, deceased. I don't know if my Uncle Ted is still living or not. Rosemary Lawrence of North Versailles, Pennsylvania, Margaret Morrow of Lake Havasu City, Arizona, Brad Morrow of Davis, California, the staff of Small World Cafe in Detroit, Michigan, the staff of Enzo's in Carmel, California, the Antonopoulos family of the Metro Detroit area via Greece, the staff of the College for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan, Emily Edie Legg of Baltimore, Maryland, Scott Hayes of Rochester Hills, Michigan, Rosemary Gladstar of Central Vermont, Usui Sensei, deceased, of Japan, Hawaii Takata, deceased, of Hawaii via Japan, Raquel Montejo of Santa Rosa, California via Mexico, and Mariana Solis of Santa Rosa, California via Mexico for their contributions to humanity and my life that have facilitated the composition of this text. Without any one of you, this book would not have been possible. Appendix. I'm not going to show you the pictures, but I'll read to you the about. 40 years of media on media. A decade ago, I began my personal observance of the Lenten season with a structured, self-assigned art series. It was only 2 years ago I decided to add writing a book as part of that observance. The themes and topics I have explored in my visual work have varied from scientific exploration to anthropological exploration to pure aesthetic. What has remained constant is my process. At midnight on New Year's Eve, I do an annual tarot card reading. On New Year's Day, Omar and I work on a collaborative collage piece with the focus of personal hopes, dreams, and or challenges for the coming year. In the days following this, I do personal introspection and choose new texts to read or topics or skills to explore. This process also involves a number of esoteric, meditative, and prayer practices I have studied since graduating from college 2 decades ago. From my exploration, I choose a medium and theme to focus on for my Lenten art observance. This year, 2021, I chose to focus on the impact, use, creation, and definition of the term media. The word medium in art refers to the materials and format used to create art. Media refers to the distribution and delivery of message and/or art. The finished art may or may not be used as media. My chosen medium this year was collage. The following pages of this appendix are the outcome of that work I have titled 40 Years of Media on Media. It has been created in tandem to this text and has been made from magazines, calendars, junk mail, personal correspondence, copies of scholarly articles used in research for past works, event and service programs, meeting agendas, newspapers, craft papers, stickers, paints, markers, adhesives, maps, election materials, and old missals of the Catholic Mass. The sampled assorted media spans the past 40 plus years, and the compositional arrangement is informed by current events. It is a visual overview of the present day from the perspective of the past, much as this text has been an overview of the present day from an anthropological perspective of my own life. 40 years of media on media is a complete work on its own. The following selected images are in the order they were created and have been cropped for aesthetic and functional purposes, but retain the essence and general gist of the overall work. I feel both this text and the visual piece have supported and informed each other, much in the way my husband and I have done, both consciously and unconsciously, over the years of our marriage. I hope you find the viewing of the following images as satisfying as I found the process of creating them. April 2nd, 2021. So there's quite a few images. And then I have an index of terms and things that you can look up. And of course, all of the actual recipes, any recipe that's in here, whether it's one that's formally mentioned or one that's mentioned in passing, where I kind of describe how to do something, those are all annotated in a different color. And then I have about the images, and so the way that they're set up, like the cover page, it has the person who has taken the photo, and then the title of the photo, and then where the photo came from and where it was taken, if I know. So like cover page, Dahroug L 2021 at my stove, image initially used for stationery and website, thekittypantsranch.com, Santa Cruz, California, the Kitty Pants Ranch. So it's a bibliography, or it's an index of all of the photos, and it has the page number that they're on. And then I have the bibliography of books that were either mentioned or used in writing this, and videos, and then about the author. And then there's the back page over a photo of my table. Why is it that whenever I work on something in my studio or on my computer, even if I do not connect with the internet, videos referencing what I'm working on show up in our YouTube feeds, or I see my concepts, ideas, and or very similar compositions used by and attributed to other people? Who is spying on my work and stealing from me? I want to sue. I don't work for you, and I'm not your property. I deserve to be paid for my work. I am not a slave or chattel. I'm a human being. My name is Larissa. So, anyway, I hope someday to get my books actually published. There is something that is very important about having a hard copy printed text above and beyond. Hey, Brody. Above and beyond, I heard something back there, it's all. Above and beyond, just having something online, because those things can be manipulated, but something that is printed, right? Oh, I hear little birds back there. I thought maybe the sprinkler was on, but I didn't turn the sprinkler on. What's going on? I better go check it out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the cookbook. Have a good day.